guys, this is Coach Holly here, and as we're kicking off our Fit Club today, I wanted to share some information with you guys that's going to be important no matter what program you're following. So just wanted to go over some basics with form that hopefully help you as you get started in your workouts. If along the course of this Fit Club you have any questions about form in your specific program, please do not hesitate to ask me. I'm a personal trainer. I train people in person and online, but in person I really focus on form, mindful movement, and making sure that you're doing all the moves very deliberately and getting the absolute most out of every movement. So I'm super passionate about that, and I want to make sure that as you're following these programs, they're efficient, they're planned well, but if you're going through the motions and not really executing appropriately, you're still not going to see the maximum results. Movement is great, change of habits is always going to give you results, but we want to make the absolute most out of your workout minute. So following form appropriately, making sure you're really squeezing and really following through is going to help you get the maximum results. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is one thing that I do before every single exercise I do for the most part, and that is shoulder packing. So really what it's doing is setting you up for good posture, and it's really important to put yourself in correct posture before you do a move to make sure that you're only working the muscles that you're supposed to be working. So for shoulder packing, what you're going to do is pull your shoulders up, back, and then slide them down backwards. So you're trying to kind of like reset them back behind you. So you're going to go up, pull back, and then slide back through without letting them roll back forward. So you want to make sure you go up, back, and down. And then you can kind of feel your muscles right here engaged and pulling down your shoulder blades. You want to make sure you feel that and that you're holding yourself in that position. For one, it's going to activate the muscles that help keep you in good posture. So the more you squeeze, the more you reset to good posture, the more active those muscles are going to be, the stronger they're going to get to help you stay nice and tall all the time. It's also really important so your shoulders aren't rolled forward when you're doing a move like a bicep curl. If you pull them back and down, then you're going to be in the right position. So when you do a bicep curl, you're actively engaging your biceps and you're not using your shoulders too much. That's how we can get injuries by overusing our shoulders, cause injuries in your bicep tendons and things like that if you're not fully using them in the right way. So up, back, and down for your shoulders. Always reset beforehand. Even if you're not working out, that's a great one to do just to make sure that you have good posture. So if you're sitting at your desk and you find yourself, you're hunched over, sit back up, pull them up, back, and down, and kind of reset, really open things up. So the next one you want to do is back bracing. So you've got your shoulders and everything's in a good position. Then I want you to think about squeezing your abs. So a lot of people struggle with issues of their hips being out of alignment. So what I'm going to backtrack a little bit. The first thing you want to do is make sure that your hips are in an appropriate position. So my hips tend to tilt forward, which means that my hip flexors are tight and my glutes are a little weak and my hips tend to tip forward. So I have to make sure that I'm actively squeezing my butt and pulling my hips out from behind me and back underneath of me. Some people have the opposite problem, which I can't really replicate because I have tight hips, so it's sort of the opposite. If you have loose hips and strong glutes, you would have the opposite problem, so you would want to tip your hips more this way to straighten yourself out. A good way to practice that is doing pelvic tilt. So what you're going to do is lay on the floor and try to flatten your back and flatten the small of your back into the ground and then relax and then flatten it and come into the ground. Another one you can do to find that flat back position is go on your hands and knees. And I recommend doing this in front of a mirror. So you're going to do this in front of a mirror and find where your back is flat. So for me, it's about right there. And you can just kind of hold that. You can do practice moves like bird dog to try to hold your back in that position without arching and twisting. But once you find that flat back position, and I can help you find it for yourself, once you find that perfect pelvic position and you've got your shoulders up, back, and down, this is going to be the starting point for your deadlift. So you don't want to start your deadlift with an arched back or arched hips or your shoulders rolled forward. You want to have good posture, have your hips underneath of you, and then you're gonna hold, like really like breathe out, squeeze your abs, and then that's where you're gonna bend for a deadlift. Try to keep everything in your upper body flat. And basically what you're doing is thinking about pulling your butt behind you. Think about there being a broomstick down your back, and you're folding perfectly in half. Your head should follow. You shouldn't be up here. Your head and everything should follow. And you want to think about sticking your butt out and keeping everything in your upper body flat. So a lot of the workouts in your programs are going to have a deadlift. This is a very hard move for a lot of people, especially if they're struggling with hips or back things. So I want to make sure that you can do it without weight or with really minimal weight before you try to go super heavy, because the last thing we want to do is have you jump into really heavy weights if you're arching your back or if you're curling like this or if you got things out of place. So make sure you've got those the back and your hips locked in nice and tight. You're squeezing your abs before you add weight. Make sure you can do that nice and flat. If you want me to review it before you add weight, I'm happy to do that. Another one I want to talk about is shoulder press. Super common exercise. It's going to be in a lot of your programs. So the goal for a shoulder press or any overhead exercise is to have your arms be like parallel with your ears. A lot of people, because we work at desks where we have bad posture, it's hard to get into that full straight position. This was very difficult for me too. I've been working on it a lot, so I'm super proud that I can get up here, but I couldn't always, and I was a little more tilted. So if that's where you are, that's okay, and I can give you exercises and stretches to help open you up and get your arms up higher. But whatever you do, I want to make sure that when you're raising, you're not arching your back to get up straight. A lot of people end up arching their back, but their arms are still forward. So if you were to straighten out, they're really raising like this, but they're cheating, arching their back to try to get overhead. So I would rather you go a little bit lighter and work on your range of motion, but think about measuring where your hips are in comparison to your belly button, squeezing your abs, and then when you raise overhead, you don't want that distance to grow. If you arch your back, that distance is gonna grow. You also can't squeeze your abs. So if you're squeezing your abs and you're keeping this distance right here, then you have no choice but to go straight overhead, and you're not gonna be arching your back. So another thing you can do is kick your foot back to help support you and reach overhead, and that's gonna help you too from doing that lean back. So those are a few things with the shoulder press that I want you to do to make sure, be super mindful that you're not arching and opening up in that way. So protect your back, protect your abs, be safe. Let me know what questions you have and if you want me to review anything with your posture and your range of motion. So hopefully that's helpful. Let me know what other questions you have as you encounter different moves. And if you want me to review anything, let me know. I'm happy to. Thanks, guys.